are watching She's Got the Keys podcast
with Kat
and Emily Hazard. We're both real estate agents at Keller Williams, Greater Seattle, and we're girls that get it done.
We are the girls that get things done for you. And and we do it fun. We get it done and we're fun. Like, we're
Done
fun.
it fun.
We're fun and we're going to get it done for you.
You'll have a good time.
Guaranteed good time.
Okay, babe, where are we headed today?
Today we are heading to Mukilteo, and we are purposely heading to Mukilteo for a reason. Do you want to tell us why?
We're going to a party.
Well, yes, we're going to a party, but like good, ambitious real estate agents, we're like, oh, I see an opportunity here. So we are actually getting a couple of showings done on our way to this party, just so we can showcase what Mukilteo has to offer.
All right, so we're on our way to showing number 1. What is our first listing going to look like?
Our first listing has been sitting for a little while. It's definitely got higher days on market, and we have a price point of $850,000, 4 beds, 3 baths. So, you know, all things considered, I think it's a really fair price listing in Mukilteo, because we're going to see stuff well above and below. I wouldn't say so much below that. I think we only have one listing lower in price point than $850 today. The other listings are going to be much higher price point. Actually, most of what's around our listing is in a higher price point. So we're going to take a look and see why this one is sitting in what looks like a softer market.
So we are on a little adventure today.
We are. We're exploring markets.
And today we're out in Mukilteo, and we want to kind of address the question as to whether or not it's a buyer or a seller's market.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants to know, like who's winning.
Yeah. Not to mention it's the holiday season, and so when we go to these family gatherings, we're always getting asked, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? And we want to give you a little ammo on how to talk about that.
And today we have chosen 3 unique different properties.
Very distinct properties. Each one is going to have its own characteristics and present itself on the market very differently. So I want to point out that we're in an area that is considered a softer pocket in Snohomish County, where inventory is floating around like 2.3 months to like 2.5 months. And in this particular area we're in, it's just over 3. It's like 3.4 months of inventory in this particular
pocket.
pocket.
What Kat is saying when she says 3 months of inventory, that means if nothing else were to enter the market between now and then, it would take about 3 months for all of those properties to get sold.
Yeah, which is really quick. If you're managing a store and you keep an eye on your inventory, that's an entire clean out. All of your inventory is cleaned out in just that short period of time. So even if it feels or sounds like 3 months is a lot, it's not enough when we're talking about housing supply and demand needs. Anything under 3 months is typically characterized as a seller's market. Over 3 months, and it's going to favor buyers just because there's more breathing room. So that slows negotiations in favor of buyers in that place.
So buyers have more opportunities in a softer market, whereas in a seller's market, you're going to find that you have to come in with cash. Cash is the only thing that's going to win things in that market.
Absolutely. You're going to have to come in ready to compete, ready to escalate. This is when we start seeing things like waiving appraisal, waiving inspection, waiving financing contingencies, shorter closes. And then in your buyer's market, the pace feels very shifted. Buyers can be a lot choosier. They don't have to buy the house. They can look at an inspection. They can terminate on an inspection. I've had 2 terminations on one house this year in almost a third. So it is absolutely a buyer's market. In fact, just a fun little tidbit here for that house that's gone under contract 3 times. We lost the first 2. We're now with our 3rd contract there. They actually texted me after reading some headlines saying how many people are terminating and leaving the market because conditions aren't as favorable to sellers as they once were. So they just said, we're really grateful we have a buyer at all, even though they've had to lose a lot on negotiations. So definitely a big shift compared to where we were last year.
Yeah,
at this
Seattle
time.
has been hot, hot, hot. So anything less than hot, hot, hot feels very strange to the folks in the Pacific Northwest. But it is absolutely normal. In fact, they would say 6 months of inventory is probably what is normal, but here it feels like a lifetime.
Yes. When you look at data over years, we're talking like since the 80s, decades on hand, it's really not unusual to be looking at 30, 40, 50 days on market. So now the definition for a stale listing is happening 60 days and up on market. So anything under 60 days, you wouldn't be considered a stale listing. We are in still what's considered a new listing according to certain categories that you might look at. So it's still a fresh listing, but it hasn't moved just yet. And I think that has a lot to do with the market because it is kind of more shifted into that buyer's market in the area that we're in right now.
Yeah, and buyers are going to be a lot more choosy in a softer market. So they're going to be looking at things like how clean does the house look? Are there major repairs that need to get done? Does it smell like mold? Is the driveway maybe slanted down so that if you were to be in an atmospheric river, it would come right into your garage? These are kind of some of the things that might put you above or below some of the competition.
And also what kind of efforts were made to prep the listing? Like, did they do repairs? Did they do a deep cleaning like you were mentioning? But like anything above that, I think in that seller's market, you can kind of just like high five your realtor and put a sign up and be ready to go.
You could, but then you run the risk of falling out of contract. And this is what I tell my clients all the time is do your due diligence. Find out before the buyer finds out. Do your inspection ahead of time. Yes, it's going to cost you money up front, but then you know walking into it what you might have to fix.
Yeah, and I do think that's been some of my clients recently who did have looky-loos or people really hesitant to make an offer or stay in contract, especially after going through inspection, because then they found out stuff we didn't know, and then they had the advantage. So it's a small price to pay. What do you ballpark?
$600.
I ballpark my clients $500 to $600, depending on the size of the house and the location for an inspection. That gives you information ahead of time to be prepared for, that you can even start repair. You can even use that as a guide to start making your repairs for a home. So I have a listing that won't come up for a year. So come January, we're going to do an inspection, and she's just going to work over the year to prep her home for going to the market using that. And then of course,
I've definitely done that before. With clients,
that's like the most sure thing you can do to say, am I doing the right things to list prep versus like, am I cleaning inside of a cabinet? I don't want you wasting your time cleaning inside a cabinet that no one's going to see.
Sure.
I'd rather do the things that are going to come up on an inspection report or that potential buyers are going to see when they're walking through the home.
Right, because what you think is important is different than what is structurally and safety related.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think summing it all up, buyer's market, seller's market is kind of a delicate balance. It floats right around that 2 to 3 month range. It matters what city you're in.
It matters what city, what neighborhood, what your yard looks like. All of these things that can set you apart from the competition. That's kind of where you want to focus your highlights on.
And that being said, the city that we're in right now, I call it more of a cooling pocket because we're in Mukilteo. So it doesn't mean it's a bad market. It means the inventory that's available here is going to be at a higher price point, and there's more of it than in any other city in Snohomish right now. So to clarify, Everett, which is kind of the core of the Snohomish County market, has a tighter inventory. You're looking like 2.1 right there. Yeah. It's immediately next to Mukilteo is Everett. And then if you were to go like a little further another direction, Snohomish is going to have a different market. Yeah. And kind of all around. So then you've got this kind of jewel, this little gem here, which could be a great place for buyers to go shopping in, because you kind of have this luxury market available to you where you might be able to find a great home in a great school district with great infrastructure built into the city and not as much competition, hence the 3 point something and change for your inventory supply here. So these are good questions to be asking your realtor, is like, even if I go 5 miles in another direction, could I have different buying conditions and still have a really good product to be looking at? So
could be worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Emily, we are in Mukilteo. I think it'd be great to talk a little bit about what Mukilteo has to offer and why it might be considered kind of a more desirable area. Like, what are the good things about Mukilteo that you know of?
There's Boeing.
Yeah, Boeing is here. You have Painfield. You also have the Washington State Ferry System that has a port here, and great school districts. So with that, you have fantastic curriculum, education. They've got extracurricular activities like the school. I mean, the town itself does a great job putting together a lot of offerings for its citizens. There's a golf course here with a nice clubhouse. So there's enough to do in Mukilteo that you could be pretty well contained in just this area.
I feel like there's no like downtown though. You'd have to go to Everett to get to like that downtown vibe. So
you're not wrong.
For cute shops and restaurants and places to congregate, not a whole lot.
See, the thing about Mukilteo is you're right, it doesn't have like a downtown main street per se, but it does have the waterfront.
Yeah.
So that's where people go. They're gonna go towards the Lighthouse Park area. You can park there, you can recreate, you can get an ice cream cone, you can walk around a little bit, you can grab dinner down there, but you're not gonna have that shopping experience like say Edmonds can offer. But what you do have very close by is Alderwood Mall. Alderwood Mall has expanded quite a bit in the last 5 years. You've got Costco there. You've got, I mean, just about any kind of shopping you could need at Alderwood Mall. You're going to get traffic. So if we're talking about the downside now, I would say lack of a downtown, as well as you're going to have traffic coming through this area. And airplane noise, if that's a bummer for you, you're probably going to get some of that.
Yep.
I will tell you that some of the nice things about Mukilteo for the people who do live here are going to be like the pedestrian ways. It's a pretty walking friendly city as far as the neighborhoods go.
It's a newer town though, so a lot of old Seattle doesn't have sidewalks.
Yeah.
And so when you get further north into the suburbs area, they took longer to develop, and so they have appropriate sidewalks.
Yeah, so you have Harbor Point Boulevard, which is basically a giant U, and within that U is kind of the town's like core suburb area. We are heading down towards the waterfront area, where you will see kind of the outskirts of the town more, which are still very vital for the commerce and for the actual residents. Like there's still plenty of homes that are kind of in that old timey like Seattle style, where you have houses that you don't see that are tucked behind and kind of in little tricky curvy areas. So you still have that in the older part of Mukilteo, but you can tell that this part was developed later on. Absolutely.
Our second property is a luxury listing, and it might not look like it from where we're standing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a lot to look at with your eyes. I think you really have to use some imagination to see this one. It's listed at a cool 2.5 mil, but you have an impressive landscape scene here on the other side of the camera. We'll make sure to get you a little bit of view of that.
Check that out, you guys.
Not to mention there are already 2 units on this property. So this would be kind of the primary house. Next to us is kind of that smaller like guest suite type of house.
And I don't know if we could qualify that as a house.
Okay, well, it's a unit. But that being said, there are part of the value with this $2.5 million listing is in the preliminary plans to expand and build additional units on this property.
Okay, and also the view. So waterfront views are going to be harder to come by than a regular yard.
Absolutely, and the thing that makes real estate so special in its own is that uniqueness. So you might get this exact house on this exact property, but if you were to take this exact house and put it on a different property, it will never be the exact same thing. It's the uniqueness that makes it really, really valuable. The fact that it's this house, this time, this property, this exact location.
Yeah, and I bet you could see whales.
I'm sure there are whales passing through. I actually toured a property that's right here on the in between, basically where the train tracks are in the water.
I toured that one too. You have to walk down.
Yeah, there's a small pocket of like what, 5 or 6 houses.
Yes.
And I sat on that water, and it's just fish after fish after fish jumping.
Wild.
So it is pretty breathtaking. We can see whitecaps and the ferries driving in and out from right here where we're at.
Okay, we have something we have to tell you guys.
It's truly upsetting. I'm upset by this.
I stepped in shit at the other house.
And I cleaned it up.
Yeah.
There is actual footage of me cleaning up the shit off the floor.
But we just got to the second house. And Kat has it all over her foot.
How did this happen? There's no one living here. These houses are vacant.
I think it's good luck. It's gotta be good luck. It's gotta be good luck. We've got something.
Like if a bird poops on you or it rains on your wedding day.
Yeah.
If both realtors step in shit, it's a good day. This is real life, real estate.
We're on the road.
We are on the road. You can see real cars coming. There's no blue screen here. We're impeding safety left and right. But I think real estate agents aren't known for our safe driving. I think we're known for taking risks.
Yeah, I wouldn't call us easy, breezy, passive drivers.
No.
We're assertive.
Yeah.
We get places.
I think sometimes it's like
on time.
Right on time. I'm not going to be
early.
I'm not going to be 15 minutes early to the showing. I will be there on time.
Yeah.
That's how that's going to go. Okay, we've got a few things to talk about.
This house is on a very busy street.
And we're behind a business and next to a business. And so when you were turning into the driveway, I was like, this isn't right. I was thinking we were going to be further along, like a condo area where there's a bunch of pockets of little like village style concept. And this was very much not that.
No. And so if you are looking to sell a house that's on a busier street, please set your expectations to be on the market longer and probably have to do some price reductions, because when it comes to that community feeling, it's really hard to get that on such a busy road.
Yeah, on such a busy road, we're going to have ferry traffic and school traffic passing through this area. And you have businesses, right? There's 2 coffee stands like within a quarter mile of us, plus you've got pizza and gas stations and a bunch of other things. So great for walkability, not great for like that community concept of like, I'm in a cul-de-sac, which is one house we saw today, which was very much in a neighborhood pocket. It was like, oh, you could picture a family living here. This is, I'd be worried about like small kids. You're very exposed here. But I like what you said about changing your expectations, because she's saying get ready for a price reduction. I'm saying price aggressively out of the gate, because you're already going to lose some credibility. If this house were in a cul-de-sac, it would be competing different automatically right out of the gate.
Absolutely. There was a house in Edmonds that was on Edmonds Way that was so busy, and it took at least 6 months to sell because of the location alone. So
yeah,
even if you're in a highly desirable area, features like this can really bring the price point down if the market's soft.
Can we talk about the differences between a luxury market and kind of a standard like middle class, middle housing market?
Yeah, I think it kind of ties back to how expensive money has become to borrow. So the luxury market's going to move a whole lot slower because there are just not as many qualified buyers. When interest rates went up, that meant that our buying power gets reduced. So as time has gone on, those luxury listings take a lot longer to sell. It's just a different category. There are less elites. That's why they call them the elites. So it's going to take a long time before you're able to really capture who that buyer is going to be.
Okay.
And then when you're looking at single family homes priced around the middle range, what they're looking for is more like safety.
Yeah. Safety, like we're going to cover our bases a lot more.
Yeah, let me see the inspection report. Let me make sure the HOA is sturdy. Let me make sure that the community is nice. There are going to be all these other checkpoints because they have the time and the capacity to kind of go through and figure out if it's the right one for them.
Yeah, I think a big subtle difference in the luxury market compared to like a standard single family residential is going to be in the finishes. I know that might sound silly, but like there is a high-end builder in our area, and they were really making an effort to appeal more towards that middle housing component. And one of the ways they did it was in changing their finishes. So like literally, how high quality are those things? Like the things that you touch when you're opening a cabinet or when you're turning on your shower. Like all of those fixtures really add up.
Fixtures can be really expensive, for sure.
So I think floor plan and in the finishes are 2 places you really see the luxury market have a different impact, and probably going to be like
size. Size, obviously size.
Yeah, I was going to
say size
of
the house and size of a lot, right?
Yeah, because a single family is going to walk into a home and think, can I live here? Where will my stuff go? And in a luxury market, you have space like that is not necessary space, right? We're talking hobby space. We're talking wine cellars.
You might not think it's necessary.
Yeah. Right, but there's room for it. Like it's essential for a luxury client because they're going to have
more amenities.
A lifestyle that demands there be room for these things that a standard family that's in that middle price band shopping area isn't going to have as much of a need for.
Sure.
Yeah. So hope that helps you find the difference a little bit between that luxury market and that single family kind of standard middle housing unit that's kind of like the it's scarce right now. I think it's hard to find. It's a bit elusive.
Absolutely, yeah. So you have to do a little bit more digging, and I think that you're best off looking for properties that have sat on the market for longer, because then you have more power.
Yeah, more buying power. So this is where having the right team, an agent who knows their markets really well, is going to help you dial that in.
But in this softer market, I've been so excited to work with buyers because they are really getting some good deals. Like I had a buyer who's closing tomorrow, and we were able to get $19,000 of closing costs covered by the seller, as well as reducing the purchase price by $7,000. So I think that if you are a buyer, right now would be a good time to start looking while there's not as much competition.
Yeah. And so on that point, I am working in a transaction where the buyer has acquired the loan, right? He's kind of assumed this loan. And so there's a small gap between the amount that's due and the actual purchase price. So he's bringing some cash to the table to close that gap, and he'll be kind of clean. But he was able to negotiate, like you did the closing costs, he was able to negotiate off the asking price of the house. So the amount of gap that he has to cover is even smaller than it was when we started shopping. So that's an incredible thing for a buyer. And because it is that buyer's market where sellers don't have 17 people lining up to buy their house, that seller was like, okay, we will work with you on this, even though it might not be a 30-day close, right? He might be looking more like 60 days to pull that transaction off, but the amount of savings he's going to get with acquiring that loan is huge compared to spending what he would spend to get a $500,000 loan. So totally. Smart shopping. The shower. Some people might say this is a small shower, but as your realtor, I need to show you that, hey, possibilities are endless. So we're gonna both get in here to see if we can both fit and close the door. This is for science.
Oh yeah, no, it's a 2-person shower for sure.
Super roomy. I can like wash my hair. I can wash your hair and wash your body parts. Oh, look, there's a shower head. We can try to get like.
It's right there.
Go. Yeah, look.
I mean, it's for us. We're 5'2". It'll work for you.
Absolutely. Possibilities.